Good afternoon. Freddy Vazquez here with Basement Politics Unfiltered. This is a special. You be the judge. Basement Politics Unfiltered with Freddy Vazquez. Today's Sunday special episode is You Be the Judge. Good afternoon. It's Freddy Vazquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Special episode that I decided to do actually after getting some information earlier today. And what's interesting about this piece of information, and this is how the universe works, is that I saw a post yesterday, in fact, by Lorraine Lopez. Lorraine Lopez is very involved, very active in the political scene here in the city of Yonkers. Has been for a very long time. Has worked with Phil McCone. And she supports a lot of candidates, and she attends a lot of the events that many of the candidates put on. Specifically, candidates like, or I should say elected officials, like Tasha Diaz, Majority Leader, John Rubo, Majority Whip. No, Minority Whip. What is it? Majority Whip. Majority Whip. And others. And so she put up a post. It was on Instagram, and it was in support of the judge that was recently appointed by Mike Spano, the mayor, to replace Judge Quinones, who vacated the position here in Yonkers City Court judge. Now, already that started with a bunch of controversy because initially the person that was chosen was Tom Daly. There was actually a long list of people. In fact, I believe the list was as long as maybe 10, 15 people that they narrowed it down to. And then ultimately that list was narrowed down to 5. Tom Daly being one of the 5, and that was announced. However, on the day it came to the swearing in, early morning, it was announced that Judge Ada Medina would be appointed to the position. She was not in the list of 5 or even in the list of 15. Now, I did a podcast earlier regarding this, and there's a gentleman by the name of Nick Speranza, an attorney with legal aid. He is a public defender there who actually was working underneath, Ada Medina. Judge Medina was his boss over at legal aid. She was the region chief. So I learned that after the fact, or during the podcast, in fact, that that was the case. Now, why is that even something I mentioned? Well, initially, Nick Speranza wanted the position that was left vacant by Judge Quinones. He reached out to party elders, party leaders in the Democratic Party, and announced his intent to run. However, that was not received well. He was told it was not his turn. And again, this is something that I've mentioned recently in the last podcast or a couple podcasts ago I did on Mike Breen, where he mentions this waiting your turn business here in our electoral process in a magazine, WAG magazine, in which he did an article. And he mentions that in 2003, he intended on running. However, he was told that it was not his turn. So he backed out. I have heard this before, and I mentioned this in earlier episodes of the podcast about the line system here in the city of Yonkers when it comes to wanting to run for political office. So Nick Speranza wants to throw his hat in the ring. He reaches out to party elders, specifically chairman of Democratic Party, Tom Meier, who is also commissioner of DPW. However, they told him that no, you cannot run now. It's not your turn, and you have to pay your dues. So he attempted to pay his dues. He went to events, donated to candidates that were being sponsored and endorsed by the party, and tried to do what he could to support and pay his dues. However, that was not good enough. And he soon realized that it did not matter because what mattered was what those who are in the party who made the decision already had in mind. And being someone who was not going to be told, you can't run because I said so, Nick decided to run. And that's when he went and got signs and he posted them up. Immediately, that drew retaliation from individuals within the party. And it affected not just Nick, it affected his brother, who works over at DPW. Again, Commissioner Tom Meier, also the chair of the Democratic Party Commissioner. I'm sorry, the Democratic Party Committee, excuse me, sent letters and emails out to Nick under both official capacities as the party chairman and as the commissioner of DPW, advising him to remove the signs that he had put up. Well, he was under the impression that it was okay to put up signs where he posted them because he had seen Corazon Pineda, council member who represents the 2nd District, posting signs during the elections on mailboxes and on trees and anywhere she can hang a sign up along South Broadway and everywhere else on the southwest side or south side. So I guess he was wrong. He received these letters, but he realized that it was not about the signs, but more about discouraging him to run. That's when the surprise happened, and Ada Medina was announced that she would be appointed by the mayor to the position, to the surprise of many. Ada was not on the list. Ada had not paid her dues in the sense that Nick Speranza thought that he needed to pay his dues and wondered why she would be named to the position, and felt very discouraged by the whole party. Now he decided, or is going to decide, that he wants to run. He has not made an official announcement. I believe Judge Medina has. I have seen signs now on social media and again on Instagram, signed that post by Lorraine Lopez in support of Ada Medina. But what caught my attention were the individuals who liked the post. Two in particular that caught my attention right away. A woman by the name of Elaine Jarvis Rabati and another woman by the name of Susan Salem. Susan Salem, if it doesn't ring a bell, I mentioned on a few podcasts ago in relation to the 2004 election between Nick Spano and Andrea Stewart Cousins, where Andrea Stewart Cousins lost in her first bid for senator because it just so happens that Susan Salem found 18 ballots in the basement of Westchester County Board of Elections building in a duffel bag. 18 ballots in favor of Nick Spano, giving him the win. That was a big deal. It went to court. However, if you try to search it up, you'll hardly find anything on it. Why? Well, people can pay to have things removed from the internet. I would imagine that is what happened, seeing as that it was very difficult to find any information. But Susan Salem, the woman who found these 18 ballots that helped Nick Spano win in 2004, is the sister of none other than Zehi Jeris, former Republican Party head, now turned Democratic political operative. Elaine Jeris Rabati, from what I hear, is also the sister of Jeris. Of Zehi Jeris. So I found it interesting that the two would like the post by Lorraine Lopez in support of Judge Medina. Today, a little birdie flew in through the window. He stood on my windowsill and said, "Hey, Freddy, I just heard something. Judge Ada Medina will be using Zehi Jeris as her campaign manager." I looked at the bird and I said, "No way." And the bird just flew away. I didn't want to come on the podcast without, at least reaching out to Judge Medina and asking if this were true. She responded, about 20 minutes later after viewing it, and said that she has not made a decision yet on who she would be using as a campaign consulting firm, and that many people have reached out in support. According to the birdie, she made the announcement that she was using Precision Strategies, company owned by Zehi Jeris. His son, Frankie Jeris, works apparently for the company. I'm not sure his exact position, but he is a campaign strategist as well. And he has worked on many of the campaigns for our elected officials, or some of our elected officials. Why is this an issue? Well, if you don't know by now, Zehi Jeris is a convicted felon, convicted of political corruption tied to the Ridge Hill deal, where apparently he bribed then council member Sandy Anabi, gifting her, apparently, quote unquote, gifting her $200,000 in order to change her vote on the Ridge Hill deal. Both served time. Then he was released, but served some more time for tax evasion in a Brooklyn car wash. Now he has become more involved and more active within the Democratic Party. Being that he is potentially going to represent Judge Medina, is there some kind of ethics issue there? Is there a question of, a judge having a campaign firm that is owned by or associated with in any way a convicted felon? Many people have said that judge races are impartial. They have nothing to do with politics. It's about law, legalities, and they of all should definitely watch who they associate with themselves with during campaigns or at campaign fundraising events or at any point in time in their political career. Any slight association can be misconstrued negatively, and it can raise questions and it can cause criticism. Now, I'm not accusing or making any accusations. I'm simply reporting information that I have heard Again, this was not confirmed by Judge Medina, as she says she has not made a decision, but she did not deny the possibility. If that is the case, does this change anything? Does this change the way you may view a candidate if they are associated with someone who has been convicted of a felon, particularly of political corruption? Does this change your opinion about this individual? Why was Ada Medina also chosen if she was not one of the 5 candidates that were being considered for the position? Many say she was chosen because she is a Latina, a woman, and she was also Nick Speranza's supervisor or boss over at Legal Aid in White Plains. It was all an attempt to block Nick Speranza from becoming the next city court judge. While using a Latina and a woman is a strategy that seems to have been concocted by the Jarris campaign consulting firm. It's a strategy, if you haven't noticed, is one that has been used recently in our elections here in the city of Yonkers. It's a strategy that was employed recently in the past elections in November, a strategy that was credited to Frankie Jarris. In fact, is the strategy of using a Latina or a minority woman a strategy that Precision uses to win elections? 'Tis the season to use a minority. We are trending. My issue is I would hate to see that. I have been speaking about this for a while now, about Latinos or blacks being used. You can vote for someone who you think is going to legislate or be a certain type of elected official based on the fact that they are a woman of a certain race. But if the people behind that individual are exactly the individuals you are hoping not to have in position, you're really not doing much, right? Again, I'm not saying that this is going to be the case, but there seems to be some association there. There seems to be some connection there. And what basement politics tries to do is create a level of transparency that we do not normally see here in the city of Yonkers. It's not about race to me. It's not about gender. It should not be about race or gender to any single one of you voting. It should be strictly on merit, who the individual is, what their platform is, and you must listen to both. Make the best informed vote, because there are individuals here who are looking to influence and manipulate our political process, looking to utilize individuals in order to gain. So we must pay attention to this. And this is why I have to mention it. I have to. You know, and I hope that's not the case, but I have to mention it. I have to. And I had to come on because I thought that this was crazy. This is I don't know if I went off there for a second. Excuse me. I have a touch screen. I accidentally touched it. But again, the reason why I bring this up is because I recently did a podcast. I did speak about the judge. I did speak about this particular, situation here. And someone commented that It's a judge race. It shouldn't be about politics. Judge races are supposed to be impartial. But are they? Are there people trying to influence even judges' race? Right? Was this a move to prevent Nick Speranza? And if so, what do we do about it? Do we just say, oh, it is what it is? It's politics. That's how that's what politics is about. And is it okay that someone who wants to run for office here in Yonkers has family members bullied at their jobs? Jobs that many have tried to get, but can't seem to get, waiting for years, while others seem to wait just one election cycle. How many people were hired after November's election cycle? How many people were hired for DPW after the election cycle? And how long were their resumes or applications in the system before they were hired? Is Tom Meier, head of the Democratic Party here in Yonkers, also chairman of DPW, able to offer positions for those who support their candidates of choice, business owners who are willing to put up big signs on their businesses? Just because you got a business doesn't mean you can't use a job. That's what they say I'm looking to do. Only police commissioner. That's the only job I want. So is that the case? I was told to look into how many people were hired after November. How many people were hired after November, Freddy? You should look into that. And how long were their applications on file before they were hired? I know people that have waited 10 years to get on sanitation department. And then I've heard of people paying $10,000 to get on sanitation. This is what I heard. Am I saying it's exactly what's happening and that's what Tom Meier is doing? No. No. I'm just telling you what I hear. And I only tell you things that I don't have 100% proof of, that I hear from multiple sources that are not connected. I mean, this is stuff I heard from guys that I have worked for me doing demo. Said, yeah, I applied for the city. I can get a job, but then someone said if I pay 10 grand, I've even heard up to 20 grand, I can get the job. People that have nothing to do with politics, that have no reason to make that up. No reason to. And then I've heard it from people who are in politics. So I mentioned this so we can keep an eye on it. Because if it goes unmentioned, then these things will happen. They will think that they're getting away with it. No one's paying attention. If you notice, the elected officials that support the judge, they have a connection to Mr. Jarris. In fact, the individual that made the post on Instagram has a connection to Mr. Jarris. And in fact, the last time I saw Mr. Jarris, it was at a Tasha Diaz fundraising event. So pay attention. Pay attention. This is not about, Judge Medina specifically. Absolutely not. This is about the system and the way that it operates. And I am trying to, if you don't already know, shed light on that system and how that system operates. And by the way, if you go to Council Member John Rubel's LinkedIn page, he does mention a perfect solution. From what I'm understanding, it's a credit card processing company. They process credit card payments. By the way, I found a company called Gateway something. It's it's a company, and when you go to their website, on it reads a perfect solution for offshore credit card processing transaction. True story. Thought that was funny. So, oh, interesting. Well, this company assists credit card processing companies process international transactions from merchants. They are located offshore. Just saying. Just saying. Thought that was an interesting thing. But anyway, yeah, that's my special, really quick. I want to go on half hour, 25 minutes, and mention this that I'm hearing today. Apparently, Zahi is so good at campaign strategizing that people are just willing to risk the association in order to win. Again, that has not been confirmed. That has not been confirmed. And according to Judge Medina, I did reach out. She said that she has not made the decision yet of who she will use as a campaign strategist, a campaign manager. A lot of people want to support. I was hoping for no, definitely not. Not at all. But again, that doesn't mean that yes, either. You can make your own assumptions from there. Again, I've also seen individuals who are associated with Zahi Jeris liking posts in support of her campaign ads. So, there is an association there with Mr. Jeris and Tom Meier, definitely in the Democratic Party. And then again, if you look at what's been going on with Nick Speranza, the individual that had wanted to, was hoping to be appointed, was hoping to get the blessing of the machine so he can get the position, is now being given a hard time. Although I believe that has ceased and desisted since attorneys have sent letters out and since I have been speaking about it, which is why I speak about it. All right. And I think it's the right thing to do. So, that connection there, again, I mean, if you're not in a vegetative state, like I've said before, you can start to, as some people like to say, connect dots, kind of put 2 and 2 together. Hopefully you'll get 4. No, it's not 6, it's 4, and see what's going on here. I mean, these are not really, it's a connection there. It's definitely a connection there. I have some photos and stuff. I'm debating on how I'm going to release those photos. If I'm going to release the photos, it just depends. It just depends. It depends. It depends. Depends if I have the time. If I have the time. Sometimes I get busy working, running my businesses. If I have the time. Anyway, who is Nick Speranza? Yeah, he's a public defender, experienced trial lawyer who has worked under Ada Medina over at Legal Aid. Right. And again, the story is that he wanted to run for, or he wanted to, he threw his hat in the ring for the position that was left open by Judge Quinones for city court judge here in Yonkers. He didn't, get the blessing of the party. They wanted him to wait in line, wait his turn, pay his dues. Right. He thought that he was doing that. Apparently he wasn't. Then he got the surprise. Judge Ada Medina, his boss, was going to be named as the city court judge to replace Judge Quinones. Now, they will be facing off this June in the primaries. It's going to be good. I'm going to be all over it. All over it. Unless I'm too busy. Unless I'm very busy. But if I'm not, I'm going to be all over it. All over it. See how busy I am this summer. Something's wrong with me. Something's truly wrong with my brain. I'm sick in the head. I am. No, I don't need anyone to entertain me. I can entertain myself totally. That's always been my thing. But yes, I will be all over it this June, the primaries. It's going to be a war. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a lot of stuff coming out. I'm going to be covering it. Again, Nick Speranza wanted to do this. They didn't want him to run. So they started to harass his brother over at DPW, writing him up, sending him home, giving him, a task all the way out in Long Island. What are you, DPW in Yonkers? Why are they sending you to Long Island? They even threatened to fire him if his brother won, if he did enter the primaries. But now he's going to enter the primaries. Okay. And that's going to expose something really deep rooted here in the city of Yonkers, in the government, in the way that our elections go. It is. It's going to expose it. I mean, what is this wait your turn stuff? And it's very real. You want proof of it? Well, just read the article in WAG magazine, right? Where they interviewed no, I'm not going to say the guy, the council member, Mike Breen, in WAG magazine. And he says it. I wanted to run in 2003, but they said I had to wait my turn. It wasn't my turn. So he backed out. All right. So there's a line. There's a line. It says a lot of interesting things in there, actually, that I think, I don't know if he wanted to say it, if that was intentional, or that was just his arrogance. I don't know which one it was. But he talked about his limo company going under after 35 years, blaming Uber, and how he's making politics his career. And if that doesn't, go any further after this, term, that he's going to focus on his wife's real estate career. Wow. Really? Real estate? Man, how did you get that idea? Actually, in fact, I think, yes, his wife, actually, someone told me, sold the house that the mayor lives in now. She sold it for the former mayor and represented both parties, so got a double commission, a whopping lot of money. So that's it there, folks. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting, this primary. Pay attention. Pay attention. It's going to be a lot of things going on. I'm going to be all over it. I'm going to be covering it because that's what I do. I'm Freddy Vazquez. Tune in tonight because I will be back. This was a quick special. I just wanted to mention that because I was like, oh, my God, really? This is real? She announced that she was going to be using precision? Say Jared? No way. No way. No way. That's like.
I don't think you were.
You know what I'm saying?
I was raised in housing. I don't think you.
That's like one of those moments when you're like, what? Is this really happening? Like when that guy, the connector, tried to connect with me. I'm like, what? Is this really happening? So I did reach out, to be fair. She said, hasn't made a decision yet. So I'm assuming he may be in the running. Are they in the running to be the consulting firm? No, it's a bad move. It's a bad move. It's a bad move. Don't associate yourself because I'm going to be all over it.
Wins. Freddy wins. Fatality.
All over it. And you don't want that. That was your special, folks. I will be back on tonight to discuss the one and only council member, Shanae Williams. Tonight's episode is titled, The Leader That Failed Once. Yes, that's right, folks. We'll talk about about her first and one and only failure in her 30-so years of existence. We'll also talk about her position in the Community and Mental Health Services Committee. She is the chairperson. So what are they doing? A lot of mental health, issues going on in District 1 that she represents, as well as being the chairperson of the Community and Mental Health Services Committee. I just don't see enough being done. They do get a stipend for each of these committees. What are you getting paid for? Let's talk about it tonight, folks, at 9 o'clock on the dot. The show, Freddy Vazquez. This is Basement Politics. You know how I do.
No!